going to pass out from Tony D's, and we're going to make the little bit expanded income statement. So we're going to get the proper title, Tony D's income statement as of, and this is in the month of August. What's the first thing that, regardless of what income statement we're looking at, what always goes at the top besides the title, right below the title? Right, besides the title. What's the first thing that goes here on an income statement? Revenue. So we have our sales revenue. If we had more than one type of revenue, we would list them both here, but we only have one, the sales of the inventory we had. Let's say we could have rent revenue if we were also renting out a building. We could potentially have interest revenue if we gave somebody a loan and we let them pay on credit and they're going to pay us back with an interest. Sales revenue, I'm going to put that, the total, remember the total, I have the T accounts just on my sheet here. In the total category, because there is nothing to subtotal with just the revenue. So sales revenue, I had us down for $800 from last class when we ended. The T account was $800. And that was from our sale to O'Neill. And then right below that, we're going to list the two contra accounts. So we subtract out the two contra accounts. Our sales return and our sales discounts. So both are both revenue accounts, but they were contra, so we're going to take them away from our total revenue. And we had a sales return total of $240. I'm going to put that in a subtotal. And I may even put it in brackets. You don't have to, but this helps me remember that I am doing a negative to my total. So I have a negative amount here. Well, that's not necessarily negative, but I want to remember that I need to subtract it. And we're going to have our first total. Our first total line that kind of gives us a summary of what's going on so far. What is that called? Like net income is the final one, when we add everything up and subtract out the expenses. But what's this first little item called? Sales minus our couple contra accounts here gives us what we call, we briefly went over this on, it would have been last Thursday.
Gross revenue? No.
Nope.
Gross profit?
Almost, not quite gross profit.
No.
Gross profit's coming.
It's not the end,
Well, not the end.
yeah.
Net sales. Net sales, and that's everything combined here. And so that gives us $549. How much in actual sales that I made, that I hope to collect. You can kind of think of this as like your paycheck, your gross wages, how much you actually make, minus the taxes that are taken out and anything else, retirement money maybe, gives you your net pay. Also called take-home pay, net pay. And then we have a line an account that gets its own line, cost of goods sold, all by itself. We break it out. And if you need to put it in here, generally you don't. But just to help us remember, we do subtract out our cost of goods sold from our income. And if you look back into the T account, you should have had a balance of what for cost of goods sold? What was your ending balance?
208.
Yeah, 280. That's what I got too. And again, I'm going to put this in brackets, but you wouldn't have to. But just to help us remember that we do subtract. And then this is a very important number. Net sales is important, but this one is even more important than net sales. And somebody already said it. Maria did.
Gross profit?
Gross profit. So what this gross profit tells us is simply selling our goods. This is how much money we make. No other expenses, no wages, no advertising, just by actually selling what we do. This is how much money we're going to have coming in, $269. By selling those, however many units that was in the problem, we're going to make $269. It's kind of bare bones because that doesn't include any of the other stuff that goes along with having a business, rent, wages possibly. And that's where these guys are going to come in, because then next is what you're used to. Usually we just did revenues and expenses. Now we've got this middle section here. We're just going to list our expenses. And the only one we had here was the shipping. And typically we always list our expenses in the subtotal. I'll do that even though there's only one. And our shipping was $125. Of course, that is our total as well. We didn't have any other expenses. And then what's the final line on the income statement called? You take everything and then you subtract out the expenses. The final thing, the bottom line is called? Come on, this is back to week 4.
Net worth?
Almost.
Net profit? Income?
Net income.
Okay.
4, 4, 1. For the test, I will want you to be able to prepare a nice income statement like this. So I don't want this just to be a one-time where you kind of forget. It's pretty common to see income statements, at least now big businesses are way more complex than this, but a very simplified income statement, this is a good representation of what it's going to look like. And I want you to just be familiar with that.